Cool. Okay. So, here we are. This is live. Just got a bit of Dutch courage here. Don't know if anyone else has got a drink. I went for the classic quarantine cocktail. This is Dr. Pepper and Jägermeister. It's delightful. It is actually really nice. I thought this was going to taste horrible. But you know when it's like the middle of the week, or what is it, Monday? Quarantine. It's one of those things where you get to the back of the alcohol cupboard. It's all gone, isn't it? So just went for the Jägermeister and Dr. Pepper. You might also recognise our trusty good luck charm. I thought I couldn't possibly go live without bringing my special friends with me. These, if you are a long-time follower, you'll know these. These were my mushrooms that I dried at the beginning of lockdown. They didn't work. Shockingly, they didn't work, and they are now. This is how they are now. So I'm going to keep them with me on this journey through this new exciting adventure that I've got planned. And we'll see. Maybe I don't know what they'll do. Maybe they'll grow into something even more exciting. But we'll leave them there. So, welcome everyone. I think everyone's settled in. Have a drink. If you got a drink, let me know. Let me know what you're drinking. Teas, champagne, who knows? I've dressed up, as you can see. I've got my little jacket on. Don't expect that every time. It's just a one-time thing, probably. You know, you put everything into the pilot, don't you? And hopefully you get picked up for the rest of the series. So, welcome. This is episode 1 of Are You Michelle from Skins, which is a new series that I'm doing on my Instagram Live, and I will be interviewing actors and creatives and people who are associated with one particular character or time in their lives. And I want this to feel a bit like we're old school friends and we're chatting and we're catching up, because I think that's something that I can bring to this kind of interview because I have been there and done it. We went to the same school, if you like. And so I've got some amazing guests lined up. I'm really excited to get them on my live and just have a chat about their experience and what it was like for them, and what it's like for them now being associated with that same time in their life. And so I decided that the first person I would interview would be me. Because, for two reasons. One is I can screw it up and it's just me that's wasting my own time. And also because there are a lot of questions that everyone has been asking me and sending in and wanting to know. And I feel like if I set the precedent for what this sort of show is going to be like, then you can sort of get an idea for what's coming up. Shout out to my pyjamas. Still wearing them. So upstairs for business, downstairs for lounging. Right, so let's get into it. Question 1 is, are you Michelle from Skins? And the answer is yes. Technically, I am Michelle from Skins. This is my little board of acting work that my husband made me for my 30th birthday. And that's me. And this is me. So technically, yes, I am Michelle from Skins. We are the same. And it's probably taken quite a while, actually, for me to be okay with saying that. And it is actually the most common thing that people say to me when they come up to me in the street. It's, oh, are you Michelle from Skins? And then it's the most interesting thing is what they say after that, which tends to be cool. And then it's sort of over to you to be like, what's your name? But I suppose, when you're meeting someone that you're not expecting to see or you feel a bit starstruck, what do you say next? But I think it's also that thing of they know, and if you're coming up to me in the street and you know me from Skins, what else, are you Michelle from Skins seems to be the thing that you would lead with. In fact, there was one time I tried to say no once. I mean, it's quite obvious once you know it's me. But I did try and say no once, and there was a couple on the tube, and they were having a real argument actually with each other about whether I was Michelle from Skins or not. And they decided that I wasn't. The guy decided that I wasn't, and the girl was, you know, she was certain it was me. And as they were getting off the tube, she looked back and she was like, "It is you, isn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah." But that was the only time I said no, because it is me. And it does tend to be quite shocking for some people, and then that's where the conversation ends. So, yes, I played Michelle from Skins. I am not her. And I think this is the whole thing of this show. It's finding out what that was like, when it was happening, what it's like now, and how I cope with the kind of weight of carrying that around all the time. And it's about sharing that experience with the guests that I'm having. So for the people, there might be some of you, I don't know, there might be some of you that don't know Skins and you just know me for my mushroom content, which is understandable. Skins was a show that came out in 2017 on a UK digital platform called E4, and it was their first kind of homegrown show that really ever cast actors of the right age, and they didn't really know what it was going to be like, whether it was going to be a hit or whether no one was going to watch it, and it obviously turned into one of the biggest shows possibly ever. I don't know. Of the time, it certainly was groundbreaking. And Michelle, I've actually I did a little bit of looking on Skins fan sites, and I found a description of Michelle on Skins fandom. So according to that webpage, Michelle Richardson is portrayed initially as primarily interested in serving her boyfriend Tony Stoneham's needs and in looking shaggable, which she places as her primary function, compared with Jal Faze's interest in the clarinet. I mean, we can unpack the worrying things in 2020 about that description, maybe a bit later, but that just gives you a kind of vague outline as to what, rightly, the Skins fans have put up there as a description of of who Michelle is. And I guess I'm quite protective of her. I'm quite protective because actually I saw her as much more than just Tony's girlfriend. At the time, I think I didn't really, and someone's asked me a question about this, and I'll probably get into it later, but I didn't think, I guess, about the fact I was portraying a young woman of that time. If I knew then what I know now, I think I would have had a lot more to say about how she was treated as a character, how she was left as a character, and we'll get into that a bit later on, but I think definitely I saw her as somebody who was a young, probably quite naive and impressionable and self-conscious and self-aware teenager who spent a lot of time, in fact most of her time, trying to be somebody, trying to be seen by somebody. She was from a split family. She didn't have a great relationship with her mum. A lot of the teenagers in the show didn't have great relationships with the adults in their lives. And for me, that was who she was. She was someone who acted like she had everything together, because when you're a teenager, you do that. You know, you want everyone to see you as somebody who's got their shit together. Maybe that's in adult life as well. But certainly when you're a teenager, it's less about how happy you are with yourself and more about how happy other people are with you. So yeah, that's Michelle. That's who I'm known for. And I've had to think quite a bit actually about what it was like then, because I actually don't remember it. I don't remember loads of it. I I don't know why that is. So I actually had to ask some of my friends who were there at the time and my family and other people to kind of tell me some of their memories and jog some kind of thoughts about how it was for me back then. Is this okay? Is this all like, hi? Oh, you need subtitles. I know, for all my Spanish followers, I can see that you're writing in Spanish. I can't reply quick enough. My Spanish brain doesn't work quick enough. But I am working on trying to get somebody to translate it and potentially even subtitle it for episodes that are coming up. So please hang in there. I know that you want to know what I'm saying, and I wish that I could speak and translate as I went, but lo siento, mi español es no rápido, es demasiado lento, no rápido. Lo siento. So, I sent out a WhatsApp to all of my girlfriends who were there at the time that Skins came out, and I had an overwhelming response for one time in particular, which was when the first episode came out, and my friend Bridget, who lives in Australia, who still gets asked if she's friends with me, she had a Ford KA, a little tiny blue one, and we all got in her car. There's 11 of us. I don't know if all 11 of us got in the car. Maybe some of us were trying to be good and do classes, but we got in the car and we drove around Bristol looking for Skins posters. And you will probably recognise that one, which is what I've based Are You Michelle from Skins on. That is one of the kind of main posters that were up on billboards across the city and bus stops, and we went searching to find them. And I've got a photo, which I might be able to put on my stories after this, but I've got a photo of me standing in front of me on a bus stop, and everyone was so excited. Everyone was screaming. There were people honking their horns as they went past because they could see it was me. It was, the launch of the show was absolutely mad. It was just everywhere. Like, I would walk into a Topshop and they would play Standing in the Way of Control because I'd walked in there. Like, it was completely mind-blowing. But again, my friends, for them it felt like, I was talking to one of my friends, Annie, this morning, and she said it just was a matter of time. We knew that you were going to get a big break. It was just more about when than if. And so we all sort of took it in our stride, and we were like, yeah, well, obviously April's going to be in a TV show. She's going to be famous. My friend Caddy wrote in her diary, April's going to be famous. It's going to be really exciting. And I think until I actually watched Euphoria, I don't know if any of you have watched Euphoria. It's an American TV show. And I actually watched an interview with Dev earlier talking about his experience of watching Euphoria. I had no idea what it would be like for a viewer to watch something like Skins, because whilst I was watching Euphoria, it was affecting me so much because I was watching these young actors doing amazing things, making waves in entertainment and representation and what they were putting on screen, and they were giving so much of themselves to what they were doing. I was completely captivated and taken along with it, and I thought to myself, this must be what people felt like when they were watching us. And it was the first time I thought, God, okay, that's the impact that we were having. Because when you're in it, it's really difficult for you to kind of separate what you're doing with how people are seeing it. I guess it's the same for any situation like that. But it was the first time where I felt like I was seeing some amazing actors properly represented, and I was really proud because I thought, yeah, we started that. So, sidetrack there. Can't remember what I was saying. Oh no, I was talking about the first day of Skins, yeah. So we went driving around the city, found all of the posters, everyone was screaming, and my parents hosted a Skins watch party in our front room. I have another photo of that. Again, I'll probably have to add it later. and we we all watched it. And in Caddy's diary, there's an entry which is, I watched Skins at April's house and I was sitting next to her mum, so I just tried not to look at her whilst she was giving Tony a hand job. But she was cool with it, so I'm guessing it's fine. And that sums it up. It was, for me at the time, it was work, it was a job, it was a character. I was really hell-bent on being professional and, and trying to take everything in my stride and be okay with all of the stuff that I was being asked to do. And, the scripts kept coming through and I just did it. And again, I was watching an interview with Dev, and he talks about the fact that he just saw the scripts and was like, I've got to do it, and now it's really cringeworthy and I'm watching it and I'm cringing. But everyone still has a very special place for Skins in their heart. And it did feel like something when that first episode came out and it had such an amazing reception. I think we all felt that we'd done something pretty magic. And then I think, obviously, it wasn't all great. It wasn't, a bed of roses. For me, I feel like I struggled more maybe than some of the other characters, because I just don't feel like Michelle was ever really redeemed. This is going to have some spoilers, so if you are in the middle of watching it, maybe. I know that's being taken off Netflix. I wish there was something I could do about that for you, but I'm afraid I can't. So in series 2 of Skins, Michelle doesn't know how to cope with Tony's accident, and she ends up having a relationship with Sid and generally numbing her pain with meaningless relationships with people. And the whole of the first series, Tony treats her so badly, treats everyone so badly, and is redeemed. He has his accident and he realises he's not a very nice person. And I was talking to a friend earlier who said, if my character had been treated like Princess Diana, I wouldn't have to deal with people shouting nips in the street, for example. And a question that's come up quite a lot is, do you mind people calling you nips? And I think the answer really is yes, because actually, although it's my character's nickname, it kind of stands for a diminutive put down. And I think every time someone shouts it to me, instead of being like, that's my character's nickname, I can't help but think, oh God, that reminds me of that time that I was filming a topless scene in front of a room full of 38 crew members, and we were discussing the size of my breasts. So that's something I'm projecting onto people. It's not their fault that they have been left with this opinion of Michelle. It's not their fault that I was never kind of redeemed from being a kind of horrible person in the second series. But it took me a long time to realise that. It took me a long time to kind of figure out why on all of the kind of blogs and Skins polls and all of that stuff, I was the least favourite character. It was, someone just said bad vibes. It was bad vibes. Like, it's difficult. I don't know if anyone remembers T4 on the beach. We did an appearance at T4 on the beach. And I think we were doing something like the Guinness World Record for the most number of people snogging in the same place. And everyone was sort of carted out onto the stage and, one by one, and everyone had this amazing cheer and I didn't. And stuff like that, I think it's going to affect you. And it definitely affected me at the time. I thought, why am I the least favourite? I don't understand. What am I doing? Why is my performance not working? And actually, you can only do what's written. I can only perform what was written. And since, as well, I've had so much, like, my Instagram is only love. Like, everyone is so lovely on my Instagram, and I guess you found me because you connected with Michelle and you liked her. And for that, thank you. I'm really appreciative of you guys seeing through what was, I think, a kind of difficult characterisation for a young woman in 2007. And don't forget, if you've just come to find Skins now, you know, me in 2020, as a 31-year-old woman, I would have a lot more to say about that. I would have input in the storyline, and I would try and certainly redeem her, or at least, you know, just yeah, people make mistakes, don't they? Like, characters are allowed to be flawed, and I love it when female characters are flawed, because, you know, they are so often the nice one, or if they've got a job and a good job, they have to be the bitch. But yeah, I think it would have helped me in the rest of my career if I'd come out of that series being a character that having been a character that was redeemed. And I think, you know, a lot of people have asked me how it was, like how was it after Skins? And I guess, like, it's really hard, isn't it? Because I owe so much to that show. I owe the fact that I have a career. I owe the fact that I trained how to act on screen. I learnt so much. I remember in series, it wasn't until series, oh God, it might be series 1 or 2. I might need you to help me. When Michelle sits with Malcolm at the bar. Does anyone know when that was? And Sid tells her that he's in love with her. Anyone know which one that was? I think it might be series 1. I can normally tell because I've got a horrible fringe in series 2. And in my head, I'm wearing this really weirdly thin scarf and a gold sparkly top. Lots of my friends actually got some of the outfits from Skins, and they are series 1. Thank you. Oh, series 2. Series 1. 2007 vibes, I trust you. I think you know it's series 1, so we'll go with series 1. Yeah, lots of my friends ended up taking some of the costumes, some of the outfits. That dress, in fact, is owned by one of my best friends, Rochelle. She might not have owned it, actually. I probably just gave it to her to borrow. But anyway, there was some seriously interesting outfits in that show, I'm not going to lie. It felt like if I was wearing 3 colours, it wasn't enough. I still had to have bright yellow earrings with some sort of shiny... Does anyone remember the shiny outfit? I had a whole silver trousers, silver Nike shoes, silver jacket. What else did I have? Oh, I had a yellow jacket. Crazy, absolutely crazy. But again, you know, it was of its time. It was a vibe. Would I wear it now? Probably not. But does it represent what Skins was, which was about the first time you could see teenagers expressing themselves how they wanted to be seen? Yes. So am I here for it? Yes. What was I saying? Why do I keep going off on a tangent? Hold on, let me have a disgusting drink. Let me just get back to it. Did you actually drink alcohol or was it just water? That's a question, hold on. Nancy Austin X. I've picked some questions, by the way, because I think it's always good to, like, when I've asked you to send me questions, it would be horrible if none of you saw your question being answered. So I've answered as many as I can, and I'll have a look when we get to it that as to what you're saying. So Nancy Austin X. When you were filming Skins, were the scenes where everybody was smoking and drinking and doing drugs real? Probably a silly question, but everyone looked so young. Crying eyes, laughing emoji. It's quite a silly question, but it's okay. There's no silly questions here. No, they were not real. It was, I think it was oregano laced into a joint, and we didn't do anything harder, I don't think. Again, someone might have to quote me on that, but no, it was fake beer, fake cigarettes, fake wine. It's all just as bad though. Imagine smoking at a joint of oregano. It's disgusting. Right, Skin Softy. My beloved Skin Softy, thank you so much for your support. If you could be any of your characters that you portrayed for 24 hours, who would you pick and why? Well, this actually leads me on to what happened after Skins, which I suppose I definitely wasn't ready. I don't feel like I ever really realised what it actually meant to be thrown into being an actor. It took me quite a while to get an agent. I went with my mum to London, and we hand delivered application letters to agencies, and it just didn't really happen. Again, you know, it's tricky for me to not be a victim in that. I don't know, maybe it was that I just didn't come across that well in the show, or maybe they did have, you know, my casting bracket is so saturated, so understandably, even back then, it probably would have been that most of the agencies had a lot of people like me on their books. But I did go and meet a few agents, all of whom said, you need to move to London, we need you to be here. And I just wasn't. I was in a relationship at the time. I didn't want to go to London. I didn't want to I just wasn't ready. I wasn't brave enough, or it just wasn't the right time for me. So eventually I got an amazing agent through a recommendation from a friend, and they really looked after me and kind of nurtured that gap from being in Skins to just being in the cutthroat, crazy, horrible world of being an actor out of work and an actor in the industry. It was is just unbearable. And I think it's really taken me until maybe the last 5 years, meeting my husband and setting up projects of my own, that actually, you know, I always thought, oh, you're only as good as your last job. But I think it's more about understanding that being an actor is my vocation, it's who I am, and it's less about actively having to be acting all the time for it to be how it defines me. And I have had so much joy in creating stuff for myself. God, what a segue. Why can't I just keep on one train of thought? All of your awesome stuff keeps popping up. Anyway, cool. God, I started talking about whether we were drinking real alcohol and ended up with that. Oh no, I didn't! Skin Softy, sorry. Characters you portrayed 24 hours. Okay. So some of you may not have seen my entire back catalogue of projects. But if I was to be a character that I've portrayed for 24 hours, I would probably go for maybe Isla Crane. That's this job here. I don't know if any of the Case of the Frightened Lady people are watching, but I did a tour, 2 years ago with a show called Case of the Frightened Lady, and it just would be really cool to see what it was like, you know, back then. I love period stuff. I wish that I could be doing more period work, but again, alas, I'm so synonymous with a modern or contemporary character that I tend to not get a lot of castings through for period stuff. So yeah, maybe I could just be her and vicariously be doing a period drama just on my own. Lots of people I've written, lots of people have asked, what do you and Michelle have in common? What are some similarities? I think low self-esteem. I don't know whether I caught that off her, or whether being that character at such a young age taught me how to have low self-esteem, but I think that is definitely something that we have in common. And I guess that kind of want to be liked. Less so now. I feel like I'm a lot happier just with people not liking me. But definitely that was what bound us like glue back then. Maria Coelho has said, do you ever get uncomfortable shooting any scenes? Yes. I was 17, 18, 19. And yeah, there was some very uncomfortable scenes that we had to shoot, and stuff that Again, looking back on it, probably I shouldn't have done. Would I do it now? No. Was I doing it as I was told then? Yes. You know, it just having to be intimate with somebody that you don't know or that you've only known for a short amount of time is always very awkward. And I saw an interview with Paul Mescal from Normal People. Don't know if anyone's watched Normal People. It's an unbelievable show. Watch it. I think it's Hulu and BBC iPlayer. And they are so brave in their portrayal of intimacy in a relationship. And I saw him interviewed, and he said, someone asked him, how did you feel when you were shooting the sex scenes? And he said, empowered. I was just like, oh my God. How lucky are you to feel like that in a modern set, in a modern environment, that you feel that, I mean, it was a great answer anyway, but I don't think I felt empowered at any point when I was shooting the uncomfortable scenes. So yeah, is the answer. Owen Martin, OTM York. What is your personal favourite performance? I haven't actually prepared these. I just wrote them out. I just copied and pasted them because I wanted it to be like spontaneous. So my favourite personal performance, it's probably in a film called The Kindred, which you won't have seen, and it's not finished, but we are working on getting it finished. We shot it last year, and it's a co-production between Parkhouse Pictures and my production company, Jumpstart Productions, and it's probably the performance that I'm most proud of. It's me as a woman for the first time, I think. I play a mother. I am acting opposite some of the most amazing British stalwart cast. It's me and James Cosmo and Samantha Bond and James Dreyfus and Blake Harrison, and it felt amazing to raise my game with those kinds of actors. And so I'd say, yeah, that's probably my favourite performance, and you will be able to see that, hopefully, probably not this year, next year, The Kindred. What have you learned from playing the character Michelle? I learned everything. Literally everything I know from playing the character of Michelle. If I hadn't had that opportunity at such a young age, I don't know if I would have ever learnt the art and the craft of acting on screen. I didn't get to that thing about series The Thing. Yeah, the first time I felt like I actually cracked it was that episode that I talked about just now. We'll never be able to find again, where I sat next to Danny Dyer, and we talked about his relationship with my mother, played by the amazing Arabella Weir, and I think that episode was directed by a female director, interestingly, called Minky Spiro, and for the first time I realised what it was to have a camera, so close, and to be able to portray a feeling as opposed to these are the lines. I think it might have been episode 7, so it took me like months of filming to crack how to actually do it, I think. So yeah, I think I learned absolutely everything from Michelle, and the opportunity that was. What is it like when someone... so this is from Aaron David Cave. What's it like when someone knows you from your earliest work? Because surely you think you've evolved in your career, but people always remember you from something that was over a decade ago. I mean, it's like, it is weird. It's tough. It makes me feel like I've not done anything since, or that everything I've done since has been a failure because it's not been as successful as Skins. It's that thing of having such a huge success story straight out the gate. You're constantly thinking that everything has to be the same. Everything has to come up to par. Everything has to be as good as Skins. I mean, most actors won't have the opportunity of a Skins in their entire career. And I feel like I am so lucky to have had that. But it also is such a curse because now I feel like, or have felt to date, that I need to be working at the same level, or what I've done isn't good enough. And that's been really hard to work through. But I am doing it. It is getting easier, and as I'm kind of moving into more of the producing side of things and making work and creating it, that becomes easier. Another disgusting drink sip. Hold on. Ugh. If you weren't Michelle Evenly? Sorry if I've said that wrong. If you weren't Michelle, which character would you like to have been? I remember being asked this when we were doing press junkets way back when. And someone said, if you were another character in Skins, who would you be? And I said Chris. And everyone freaked out. But I would be Chris. Partly because I think that Joe Dempsey is one of the greatest actors ever, but partly because I just love how unashamedly him he was. And it was such a nuanced character. It was it was a good act. And I think I'd have just loved to have got into the meat and veg of that character. Doesn't have to be a girl, does it? Who in particular did you like acting alongside in Skins? That's from Melissa Linstead. I think a lot of the adults who came in for 1 or 2 days, I learned a lot from them. And in particular, Arabella Weir, as Michelle's mum. We did a lot of really just lovely bits together, and I loved working with her. She taught me a lot about comedy and about comic timing and about the payoff when you're funny and when you get to do something that's meaningful. She was great. And then my last question from the ones that I've taken from my posts is Chelsea Luann said, when you're on a show, and as a hit show as such as Skins, there's a responsibility with the portrayal of any character, and more especially female characters. With Michelle, did you ever feel careful to deliver her story to the viewer? After all, she was a girl who many could relate to. I mean, I think I've kind of answered that really, but certainly, it's a tough one, because how we see women on screen has changed so much from 2007 to now. And a bit like I said with the Euphoria thing, I think of its time, it exists in the space that it took up. Looking back retrospectively now, there's a lot I would change, and I think that's a good thing. Times change, so I'd have changed with them. Cool. Okay, so that's kind of that's sort of the structure we're going to do about. I mean, I've talked now for, have I talked for 40 minutes? This was supposed to be 20 minutes. Okay, shall I go? Maybe I should go. I've said to all of my guests it's going to be 10 minutes. Okay, maybe I'll just answer some quick questions and then I'll go and continue hanging out with my mushroom friends and my disgusting drink. I can't believe that's gone so quickly. We're supposed to be having Bubble and Squeak for dinner. Okay, I'm going to scroll up and just see if there's some questions. I'm just going to scroll until I land on Michelle with Sid or Michelle with Tony. Michelle with Tony. Have you ever died in a movie or a TV show? Yes. I have died in this. This is Tormented. I had my head spoiler, I had my head chopped off with a spade. Don't need to see that now, do you? I died in a film called Fractured, which you can find on Amazon Prime. Is that the only time I've died? I must have died more than that. Oh, I also died in a film called Caught, where I was an alien. Another spoiler. Don't need to watch any of these. Minky, she's so amazing as a director. Yes, Markel, you're right. Right, scrolling back down. Where is Mike Bailey? Mike Bailey. I don't know where he lives, but he's fine. He lives somewhere, and he has a wife and children, and yeah, he's fine. I don't speak to the rest of the cast in the same way that they speak to each other. I know that they're all really, really close, and they're a very tight network of basically family. But for some reason, I just wasn't ready to be part of that. As soon as we finished Skins, I'd love to reach out to them and be friendlier with them in a kind of personal level, but just a bit scared, I think. I should. I'm interviewing some Skins cast on my show, so hopefully the olive branches will be extended. Okay, I'm just gonna scroll and find somebody's question. What's the craziest thing you've seen during Skins? Since Skins? Probably Euphoria. Were you actually filming in Russia? No, it was Lithuania. Psych! Which scene was your favourite to shoot? God, that's a good question. No one ever asks that. I loved, actually, all of the kind of massive party scenes were always really fun because they were all in silence because obviously you need to be able to hear people's lines. And there was an amazing party scene at La Cosa in Bristol. I think it might have shut down, which is really sad. But everyone's dancing around like mad people to silence, to nothing, trying to make no noise, so that it's easy for an editor to then add the sound on afterwards. Oh, Colin, thanks for reminding me I died in Tank 432 as well, also on Amazon. Okay, I'm going to scroll to the bottom. If you want to ask a question, go now. Do you live in Bristol still? No, I live in Brighton, which is quite similar to Bristol, I think. It's the same kind of arty, eclectic crowd. And yeah, I love living here. It really reminds me of Bristol. I love Bristol. If anyone is ever in the UK, go and visit Bristol. Did you know there would be other generations and Skins? No, I didn't. We initially signed on to do 2 years, and then we had an option on a third series. And when they told us that they weren't going to be continuing that option, it was a surprise. But I totally think that they made the right call. I hate it when shows go on too long and then they go off the boil and you end up just like ducking out of them. So yeah, I think that was definitely the right call, but it wasn't something that I was prepared for, that's for sure. Okay, I really should go now. This is crazy. Can you hear that? If you thought I was lying about living in Brighton, that's the seagulls. So, yeah, they definitely... When can we throw those mushrooms? Sorry, is it just me, or like is anyone else really attached to these mushrooms? I can't bear to throw them away. Jamie, I know that they're quite gross. They are gross. They are horrendous, but I literally, just can't possibly bear it. I love them. Cool, I think I'm going to leave it there because I'm now just talking about mushrooms. But basically, this is what it is. This is me now. Probably not with the jacket every time. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I'm like Claudia Winkleman / Alan Carr / I wish I could think of another female presenter. Any other female evening chat show hosts? Shockingly, no. Maybe that's me now. So, yeah. I'm going to be back next week. I've got a very exciting guest next week. She has... she saw us all, I would say, my generation, through a lot of tea time, after school, homework doing times. So, Mary Kate, I did it! new colour of jacket every week. That's not very sustainable, Christina. So I'll see you next week. I'm so glad that you've all been here. I'm so glad that this is over. I can now focus on interviewing some amazing guests and finding out how their story relates to mine. And yeah, this has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. Keep asking questions. Let's stay radio. And just don't drink Dr. Pepper and Jägermeister whilst you're on a live to 600 people. Or maybe do. I've got this tiny ring light, which I think is over the end button. Yes, it is. Okay, I love you all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting my new series. And I will see you next week. Bye.